Hey guys, all right. So today I wanted to talk to you about buying gear for beginners. Anybody that's just starting out, going all the way to like your first year or two of guitar playing. You notice up top right here, this little list. That's kind of the outline of today. I could talk about this all day long, all day, every day, but I'm going to try to squeeze in just some things that you don't see too much on the internet. I'm going to try to squeeze that into a short video. Also, you notice my green screen behind me. I don't have it turned on because, well, I have a green shirt. And when you wear a green shirt with a green screen, it looks like this. You notice there's grass. You can see the grass blades of the background behind me. And also, I've got a green Call of Duty shirt. Gotta love it, right? Call of Duty. Anyways, so there's a few important questions you need to ask yourself. Everybody needs to ask themselves this, and you should ask yourself often as you get better, 5 years from now, 7 years, etc. Ask yourself often, like a bunch of questions. You got to keep yourself in check. You got to stay focused, Your answers might change as you progress. There's various reasons, it could be stuff in your life affecting you. It could be how you play the guitar, or the bands you're in, or the music flavor. It could be money related, job. Always ask yourself a bunch of questions as you continue on playing and whatnot. They kind of keep you focused and keep you straight. First series of questions you need to ask yourself is, why do I want to play guitar? If you're playing right now, then why am I playing guitar? I play guitar because it makes me feel good. I use guitar playing to release stress, because you can't play guitar if you're mad. Like, you just can't play guitar. You have to be in a certain train of thought for certain music, and you have to put certain, effort into your playing. So for me, it's a stress reliever. It makes me feel good. I also play guitar to share my feelings with people. I love seeing people's reaction. I love it when people enjoy something that I do and it makes them feel good. Whatever their feelings are, if they get a reaction out of it, I like that. And I love sharing what I do. I like sharing it. I don't try to do it for money. I just do it because it makes me feel good. That's why I do it. Whether you're wanting to do this for money or, make a career, a legacy, if you're wanting to teach other people, there's a million reasons why you would want to learn how to play guitar. But you need to find what your reasons are. And there are some good reasons and there's some bad reasons. Next question is, how serious and dedicated am I? The serious and dedication kind of stem from the first question. Depending on your reasons will result in how serious and dedicated you have to be. It's kind of up to you to weigh that option. And the third question is, what is my budget? And that is heavily dictated by these first two questions. If you start off playing guitar, most people spend anywhere between $200 and $600. Now, $200 is a lot. Money's tight. I'll go into what you can buy with $200. That's really important. Before we go into what you can buy within your budget, you need to ask yourself, like, do I like acoustic guitar or do I like electric guitar? Which is more appealing to me? For me, it's electric guitar all day, every day. I love playing the acoustic. It doesn't appeal to me as much in most situations. There are pros and cons to the electric and the acoustic, and I'm going to try to go over a few. It is very hard to learn how to play the acoustic guitar. It's very hard to make notes, to make music with the acoustic when you first start learning. It's harder to press down on the strings, to strum, do everything. The necks don't play as well. The action is higher, like the string is off the fret higher than an electric guitar. So you have to do more work to get more sound. The good thing about acoustic guitar is because you are working so hard, you become stronger. Your hands and muscles and forearms, they're stronger. It's kind of like lifting heavy weights. Acoustic guitar is like lifting the heavy weights. Electric guitar is like lifting the light weights. The good thing about electric guitar, though, is that play it with minimal effort. If you have the money to buy amplifier and pedals and sound effects and everything, you can sound like anything you want. An acoustic guitar, in most cases, can only sound like a hunk of wood, projecting sound. That's the downside. If you want to know what I recommend starting out on an electric guitar, because when you start out on an electric guitar, especially with kids, they get discouraged easily and it's easy for them to fall off. So an electric guitar is really good because you don't hurt as much. It's easier to play. It's easier to make the sounds. So I recommend an electric guitar. Something I forgot to mention is the acoustic guitar will cost less overall compared to the electric guitar. Electric guitar is kind of like ever expanding because there's always new pedals, always new amplifiers. There's always new something for the electric guitar. So it's almost like a money dump, like a sinkhole for money. An acoustic guitar, you just buy the guitar and the needed accessories, and that's it. That's all you need. Of course, this is all for beginners. When you get into intermediate and professional level stuff, you've got amplifiers and PA and all this crazy stuff. But for right now, just starting off, an acoustic guitar is going to be cheaper than buying the electric guitar and everything the electric guitar needs to function. Since I recommend buying the electric guitar, the next thing you have to ask yourself is, do you want a single coil or a humbucker pickup guitar? It's basically, here's an example right here. If you look on the screen, a single coil is this pickup right here. See these little see these square ones right here? That's a humbucker. Basically, a single coil is a thinner sounding, lighter sounding pickup. So your tones are going to be a lot thinner. They're going to be more dynamic though, and they'll be able to pick up sound better. Like all the dynamic range of your notes will be better, and a lot more articulation will come out of your single coil pickup. But the humbucker is a lot more beefier. It's a lot more bottom end. It's your typical sound for that rock and metal. Single coil guitars are typically played for more country and blues. Not in all cases, but just to give you a general idea, I recommend buying a guitar with humbuckers. Humbucker guitars, they put out less noise. Like they can handle the signal better. So there's usually less feedback, less noise, and they're a little more compressed so you're not going to sound as awful when you hit some notes. The next thing is keeping the guitar simple. With you being a beginner, you don't want to buy a guitar with a whammy bar and all these switches and bells and whistles and all these crazy tuning mechanics and a bridge that floats and everything. You don't need all that. You want to focus on playing all the time. So therefore, you don't want to spend all your time researching on how to restring your guitar and why these buttons do what they do. You want to play, and you want something reliable and sturdy. With that being said, I recommend getting something like a Fender or Gibson guitar, like the knockoffs, like a Fender Squire or an Epiphone. All right, so here are your Fender Squires. As you can tell, they're pretty cheap. They're a little cheaper than the Epiphones. They run anywhere from like $100 to $300. So these are mostly single coils. You can get humbucker Squires, but your Squires typically have a Fender Squire is a great guitar for a beginner. They're solid as a rock. They can take a beating. They have a good feel to them. They're not too complicated. The bridge can be locked down or can float. It will determine how easy you can bend strings on the guitar. Now, these guitars right here are your Epiphones. They're basically like Gibson knockoffs. If you notice, they look just like Gibson guitars for the most part. There's a lot of differences, but from a beginner's eye, as far as the looks, really the big difference is the headstock. There's just lesser quality all around though. Like, everything from the knobs to the strings to the pickups, the wood, how it's made, where the wood comes from, everything, hardware. These guitars are fixed bridges. It'd be slightly harder to bend than it would be on the Fender Squire if the Fender has a floating bridge or a non-fixed bridge anyways. When you bend on a Fender, when you bend the string, it pulls the tension of the bridge, and the bridge will rise up off the body just a little bit, and it will give with your note. So therefore, it's a little easier to bend. With these Gibson style guitars, the bridge does not move at all, so you're going to have a little more resistance in your bends, which is not a bad thing. You'll get used to it. You probably won't even notice anything. But these bridges are fixed bridges. They are like these two-pneumatic style bridges. They are the easiest to string. They're the fastest and easiest guitars to string up. So, if you're on a budget, I recommend just kind of buying fairly cheap, unless you have a lot of money to blow. And these starter packs are great. Like any of these starter packs on here are pretty solid. The Ibanez starter packs are good, but like I said, they have floating bridges most of the time. That's going to be more difficult. They have like the Floyd Rose style bridge. Gonna be a little more difficult to restring and to keep in tune. So I would kind of stick with the Squire or the Epiphone style starter packs. Most of the time they come with everything you need. A small little amplifier. They come with a strap, picks, gig bag, Sometimes they come with a tuner. So just kind of go to musiciansfriend.com or sweetwater.com. Those are two good websites I recommend going to. There's a ton of others out there. As far as the acoustic guitars go, you can kind of go more expensive on the acoustic guitar starter packs because you don't need an amplifier or cables or anything. So I would recommend, kind of getting one of the higher end starter packs if you want to do that. Like I said, it still comes with the same things, so you're fine. But the starter packs are the way to go if you're unsure of your dedication or if you're not going to be able to play it much. Starter packs are great, and these guitars are usually built like tanks. They can take a beating. Now, if you decide you want a little something more than what the starter packs offer, then you can go buy everything separate. So you can buy a guitar on its own, amplifier, picks, tuners, etc. So here's a little quick idea of what to look for like starter amplifiers. Marshall's always a good starter amplifier. Marshall, TV, Fender, those are always good for starter amplifiers. And you can buy cheap ones around $100 to $200. The amplifiers will have effects on them sometimes, and they're usually like all-in-one effects, like they're split on one knob. So like, for example, this Fender's a good one, a Fender Champion, the baseline Fender amp. This amplifier has reverb, a little bit of reverb. It's got a little bit of chorus, flange, delay, tremolo. It's got a lot of effects on it. And you can plug your headphones in and listen in your bedroom. And it makes it more fun. Like, it's not fun playing with a dry tone. It's more fun having a few basic bells and whistles, and it gives you a little more effects. You can kind of cover up your mistakes. It makes you sound a little better, So if you're like learning a solo, you can put the reverb or delay on. You can't control much of it though. It just there's not very many options, as you can see, when it comes to adjusting each effect. But it's there. So as far as like, guitar cables go, you don't need to spend a lot of money on guitar cables as a beginner. Most cables have pretty good quality these days. You're not doing any kind of like recording or whatnot. You're just playing to have fun and to learn. You might play for like a family member or something. I would just buy cheap cables. Buy you like anywhere between 10 and 20 foot cables. 5-foot cables are too short. You have to sit right up on the amplifier. So guitar cables can run fairly cheap. They usually run anywhere between $15 and $20 something. You can get just like rubber cables, like rubber coated cables like this, or you can get the braided ones, the braided heavy duty ones like this. Of course, the braided ones are going to be more expensive, but they're more reliable and they're not going to get cut and screwed up as easily. Angled cables, angled tips are pretty good, depending on what you're plugging into. Angled or straight might be more beneficial. Like if your guitar has a weird input jack, at a certain angle, then maybe a straight plug might be best for like a Fender Squier. Say your amplifier, the jack just it protrudes right out. And, if you have a straight jack plugged in, over time it's going to be drooping down and it's going to be, putting force on that jack. So over time, that jack and the soldering and everything might kind of wear out, and the cable might start bending real bad. You'll have a real bend in your cable. But if you get an angled jack, then it will just droop straight down and there's no pressure. It's a little better for the input jack and for the actual tip of the cable. It's not a huge deal, but if you're trying to make the best out of your money in the best possible way, it's something to think about. Last thing to mention, there are instrument cables and there are speaker cables. You do not want to use speaker cables at all. When you go into a music store or when you look online, you want to look for guitar cables or instrument cables, whatever. It's the same thing. Stay away from speaker cables. That's for PA stuff and whatnot. You won't mess with that. So when it comes to guitar strings, it's not a big deal. As a beginner or even as intermediate players, it's not a big deal what strings you buy. As far as like the brand name, I recommend just getting something pretty cheap and fairly reliable, like Diodario's. They're good strings. Ernie Ball, DR is pretty good. GHS. Those are some good ones I would choose without breaking the bank, and you can get them in huge packs. Like you can get a box of them. But don't worry about strings too much. Strings aren't a big deal when you just start out. The main thing you want to worry about is the size of the string. You see right here on this guitar pack, this string pack goes from 0.010 to 0.049. Well, if you hear people talk in guitar world, it's like, do you play 9s? Do you play 10s? Do you play 11s? Stuff like that. Well, you would say, I play 10s. See right here? This is a 10 gauge string. When you figure out what your guitar is, ask whoever you buy it from, or it might say it on a website or whatever. It's probably going to be properly set up to hold the tension of those strings. Depending on what size strings you buy and what tuning you're in, it dictates how your bridge and everything in your neck is set up. So if you want to invest in strings for the long term, for the long haul, I recommend getting elixirs. The great thing about elixirs is they have a special thin coating on them, and that coating prevents your strings from rusting, because the more you play and the longer you play, you build up sweat and stuff, and the more you do that, the faster your strings will rust. But with elixirs, they will not rust at all. Elixirs will fray from picking down there where the pickups are and where your picking hand rests. Your strings might fray a little bit after a long time of use, after like 6 months or something like that. They'll fray, and you need to change them. The thing about elixirs is it's arguable. Some people say that they don't have the same qualities as a normal string, like an Ernie Ball or something. They don't have the same pick attack or the same brightness or the same response. Some people, I don't know. I've been using them for years. I play just as good whether it's a non-elixirs type string or if it's an elixir string. I play the exact same. My tone's the exact same. Maybe I'm just not good enough. I strongly recommend elixirs if you want to. The only thing is they're twice as much as a normal pack of guitar strings, but they last 3 or 4 times longer. So you got to figure out, your price points and is it worth it to you. So as far as picks go, picking is a very finicky. It's all about preference. In the beginning, you don't have a preference. You don't even know what you want as a guitar player in the beginning. You don't know anything. I would just recommend getting a pick that's pretty good all around. And the great thing about these Dunlop picks, the Dunlop Tortex, they're everywhere. They're at every guitar store. They're super cheap. You can get them online for super cheap. By the packs. You can get them in a ton of different colors and thicknesses. Pick thickness is pretty important. Depending on what type of music you're playing, you'll have a preference for what pick you want to use. Like if you're playing acoustic and you're mostly strumming a lot of acoustic guitar, you might just want to use your hands, or you might want to use a flimsy pick that you can bend the hell out of. But when you start getting into the more intricate picking, or when you're doing a lot of alternate picking or some crazy stuff, you might want to go into the thicker picks. So anyways, I would recommend something like any of these Dunlop Tortexes. If you want to go a little more badass and big boy picks, you can step up to like the Jazz 3 picks. I've been using the John Petrucci picks for about 5 years now. I love them. There you go. If you can see, it's got the John Petrucci logo, his little logo on them. But basically, they grip pretty well around the fingers. But then they have that slick, they have a little slick tip, and it's very pointy and angly. Like it has a small angle. But anyways, they work well. They have a brighter tone when it comes to picking the string, so it doesn't sound dead. But I've got some picks that that are made of like buffalo bone and stuff like that, and they sound very dead when they pick the string. Like I said, in the beginning, it's not a big deal. Don't worry about that too much. Just find something that you like that can get through the string. You don't want to use a pick for when you pluck the string with the pick. You don't want that sucker to bend all the way back and hit your thumb. That's an exaggeration, but you don't want anything like that. Here's another one. Here's a Dunlop Ultex or whatever. It's the old one. But this is made out of a different material, but it's still plastic. You can hear it. It's plastic, but it bends fairly well. See, that's a decent bend. That's kind of what you want out of a pick, at least from a beginner. So that way, I can't tell you what thickness it is. It's probably like a 0.6 or a 0.7, but that's pretty good. And that way, when you strum, it has some give. Got some give to it, but you can also get through the string well when you need to pluck really hard. So as far as tuners go, the tuning technology has came a long ways in the past like 10 years. When I was a kid growing up, these brick tuners, they were like this big, you know, they took a lot of batteries and stuff and they didn't last long, and they had the big needles that go like this and whatnot. These days it's all digital and the tuners are really good for the price. They're super cheap and they do a really good job. So if you want to, you can buy like one of these little cheap ones right here, and it clamps on the guitar headstock, and you just pluck the string and it will tell you by I think it's the vibrations in the guitar, or sometimes it might have a microphone on it, but I think the vibrations in the guitar signal to the tuner, you know, what key is it in and whatnot. It tells you how to tune. Buy something cheap, you know, 20 to 30 bucks. That's all you need. Now, if you want to get into guitar pedals, like heavy duty pedals that go on your pedal board and whatnot, now these are super accurate. Can't beat them. But anyways, you can get something like this, like just since it's right here, this Boss tuner, damn good tuner, reliable, solid, you know, built like a rock. But these are obviously way more expensive. But most people these days are just using these right here. Probably wondering where the hell does the battery go? They use those small watch batteries, you know, that are about the size of a pick. The batteries are just watch batteries, basically. You can buy them at the store. They're pretty cheap. All right, guys, well, that's pretty much it for this video. I just wanted to wrap up, you know, some gear stuff for beginners. I wanted to try to cover some things that not many people talk about. If you have any questions, if there's something I didn't mention that you got a question about, drop a comment below. Message me on Facebook, you know, or if you guys know me personally or whatever, feel free to contact me any way you want. I promise you're not bothering me. I just want to help out. So yeah, don't be shy. Hit that subscribe button down below. Like I said, I'm going to be trying to create more videos. I'll probably try to make at least 2 a month, and I'm hoping these videos will have enough content to get you from one video to the next. That's my goal. I promise you, they'll be like that when we start getting into how to play guitar. This is probably my last video that talks about stuff before you get into guitar playing. Very soon here, we're going to start getting into how to play. So, yeah, see you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching.